Stop scrolling for just a minute, because what you're about to hear might change the way you look at your entire life. This isn't just another motivational story, it's a mirror. A story that will show you why you're stuck, why you keep failing, and how one simple choice can completely rewrite your future. 99% of people never fail because they're weak. They fail because they give up right before success was about to knock. So don't skip this, because the next few minutes could be the reminder that saves you from becoming one of them. There was a young man named Ethan. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't the smartest in his class, but he had something rare, a fire in his heart that refused to die. He dreamed of building something big, something that would outlive him. He wanted to make his parents proud, to rise above the noise of an ordinary life. Every morning, Ethan would stand by his small window, staring at the golden light of dawn, whispering to himself, "One day I'll make it." He didn't know how or when, but he believed. Life, however, has a strange way of testing belief. When Ethan finished college, he poured his savings into a small business. He worked days and nights, skipping meals, skipping fun, while his friends enjoyed their youth. But when the business failed, it didn't just take his money, it broke something inside him. His friends called him foolish. His relatives mocked him. Even his parents, though they loved him, started saying, "Maybe it's time to stop chasing dreams." For weeks, Ethan shut himself in his room. He stared at the walls where once his dreams lived. He stopped talking. He stopped smiling. He felt the heavy silence of failure pressing on his chest. He tried again, another project, another dream, but again he failed. Every time he tried to rise, something pulled him back down. He began to believe maybe he wasn't meant for success. He looked at others, people his age buying cars, traveling, posting pictures of their perfect lives. And he wondered, why not me? The nights were the hardest. He would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, his heart whispering, "You're not enough." One evening, after another rejection, Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He walked out of his apartment and wandered aimlessly through the streets. The sky was dark. The rain began to fall. Cold drops hit his face, mixing with his tears. He sat on a lonely park bench, shivering, soaked, and broken. He whispered, "Why does it always happen to me? Why do I always lose?" Then a voice came from the shadows, soft but firm. "You look like someone who's been fighting for too long." Ethan turned. It was an old man sitting quietly under a tree. His clothes were worn, his hands wrinkled, but his eyes were full of light. Ethan didn't speak, but the old man smiled gently and said, "Tell me, how many times have you fallen?" Ethan exhaled, tired. "Too many times. Every time I try to rise, life knocks me down again." The old man nodded slowly. "Good," he said. Ethan frowned. "Good? What's good about losing?" The old man chuckled. "Because it means you're still trying, and that puts you ahead of the 99% who quit." Ethan looked confused. The old man continued, "Do you know what separates failure from success? Just one more try. The world breaks everyone, but only those who continue to rise become unbreakable." He pointed toward the muddy ground. When a seed is buried in darkness, it doesn't cry, "Why me?" It grows roots. It learns patience. It survives the storm underground until it's strong enough to rise toward the light. You, my boy, are that seed. Your darkness is not your end, it's your beginning. Ethan sat silently. The rain had stopped. Only the sound of water dripping from leaves filled the air. The old man stood up slowly, patted his shoulder, and said softly, "Don't give up now. Your story isn't over yet." And with that, he walked away. Ethan sat there for a long time, watching the old man disappear into the mist. He didn't even ask his name, but somehow, he didn't need to. That night, Ethan went home and wrote on his wall with a marker, "I won't stop. Even if I crawl, I'll move." The next morning, something inside him changed. He woke up early, washed his face, and looked in the mirror. He saw the same reflection, but a different man, a man ready to fight again. He started small. He learned new skills, watched tutorials, read books, and studied people who had succeeded. He didn't have money, but he had time, and he used it wisely. He failed again, but this time he didn't give up. Each mistake became a lesson, each setback a teacher. He wrote down everything he learned. Slowly, he started to understand patterns, what worked, what didn't. He began freelancing online, earning small amounts. It wasn't much, but it was his. And for the first time, he felt proud. Months turned into years. He still stumbled, still fell, but he didn't stop. The fire that once flickered inside him was now a burning flame. One night he was working late at a cafe. He looked out the window and saw a familiar face. It was the old man. Ethan ran outside and said, "Sir, it's you. I did what you said. I didn't stop." The old man smiled. "I knew you wouldn't. How do you feel now?" Ethan's voice trembled, still scared but not hopeless. The old man nodded. "Good. That fear will keep you humble and hope will keep you alive." Ethan wanted to thank him properly, but before he could, the man simply said, "Remember, success is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent." Then he walked away once more. A year later, Ethan's business, the one everyone laughed at, started growing. Orders increased, clients trusted him, and people began to notice his work. He didn't post luxury photos or show off. He just kept working silently. One day, a message popped up on his screen. A big company wanted to collaborate. Ethan stared at it for minutes, tears in his eyes. It was happening. He called his parents. His mother cried. His father said proudly, "I always knew you'd make it." Ethan smiled because he knew even they hadn't believed that before. Soon, Ethan's business grew beyond his imagination. He started hearing others, teaching them, guiding them. He became the kind of person he once wished he had beside him. Years later, he was invited to speak at a large event. Standing before hundreds of people, he looked nervous, but his eyes shone with purpose. He began, "I failed more times than I can count. I cried when no one was watching. I begged the universe to just give me one chance. But now I realize every rejection, every failure, every lonely night, it was shaping me into who I was meant to be." He paused, letting the silence fill the room. You see, success doesn't come to those who never fall. It comes to those who never stay down. 99% of people give up right before the miracle happens. Don't be one of them. The audience stood and clapped, but Ethan's eyes were moist. He wasn't proud because people were cheering. He was proud because he had kept his promise to himself. "I won't stop." That night he walked out alone, looked at the sky and whispered, "You were right, old man. The darkness wasn't the end, it was the beginning." As he stood there, the wind brushed against his face, and for a second, he felt as if the old man's voice echoed through the breeze. "Don't mistake your darkness for the end of your story." Ethan smiled, because he finally understood success was never about reaching the top. It was about having the heart to climb when your body screams to quit. He realized that the pain that once broke him was the same pain that built him. The nights that made him cry also made him strong. The rejections that burned his heart lit the fire that guided his path. Now, every time he met a struggling soul, he would say softly, "You think you're losing, but you're just learning how to win." And if you're listening to this now, wondering if your dreams are worth it, they are. Even if no one believes in you, even if you're tired, even if it hurts, keep going. Because every scar, every tear, every sleepless night will one day become the reason someone else finds hope. Remember Ethan. He was no hero, no genius, no lucky man. He was just someone who didn't give up. 99% fail not because they can't, but because they stop too soon. Be the 1% who doesn't. And when that day comes, when the world finally sees what you've been building in silence, you'll look back, smile, and whisper to yourself, "I made it because I didn't